Epic Gaming Night is sponsored by Analog Gamer. Check out Analog Gamer for high-quality board game apparel. You can find Epic Gaming Night shirts and much more at analoggamer.com. This is Epic Gaming Night, a podcast about board games and the stories and relationships they create. Welcome to the Epic Gaming Night podcast, a podcast about tabletop games, but mostly board games. I'm your host, Roy Candy, and with me, as always, is Matt.
Korean fried chicken.
And Rob.
Something new.
Oh,
You gotta say some sort of food dish, I guess, Rob.
Spice it up.
Blood sausage.
There you go.
Nice.
Don't eat it. It's not nice.
How are you guys doing tonight?
Pretty good. I have a fun story about that in a minute.
About what? About how you're doing, or about blood sausage?
A blood sausage. I went out with Hector at lunch, and we were looking up like expensive restaurants because there's a place in Charleston I kind of want to go. It's not really expensive, but I mean it's kind of higher end. And so Hector starts looking up places that he worked in California. It was like really high priced, and like AJ was there, and he's like, "Oh, this place has sweetbread for like $27. That's crazy." And I was like, "It's not just sweet bread. It's actually like a meat thing." I was like, "If you ordered that, you would be very sad." And he's like, "Why would they name it that? That's like the sacrilege." And I was like, "I mean, that's okay."
You can't call it carbs and then it be protein. What?
That's my fun anecdote for the day.
That's awesome.
Eh.
Well, today we're going to be talking about what makes a game good. But before we do that, we're going to talk about a little bit of news. Woo! So the first thing I want to talk about for news here is there is a new game announced from the guys who make the League of Legends video game. It is Mechs vs. Minions. And this game has been going super crazy. All of the podcasters and video reviewers all released videos for this at the exact same time, and it actually looks like a pretty interesting game. The mechanics are programming and cooperative play. It looks very much like Robo Rally 2.0, and you have these mechs going around trying to smash goblins and complete missions, I guess, run around and hit different objectives and stop the minions from getting objectives. But the ridiculous thing about this game is that the component quality is very high from what it looks like. It's got like pre-painted mech minis, and the miniatures for the minions there's like a ton of them. There's like 100 of them in the box, but they all have like a nice little wash on them and everything. So everything's ridiculous on this, and I think the price that they're selling it for is going to be $75 plus shipping, but they're selling it like only on their website. So they're like completely cutting out Kickstarter, completely cutting out the middleman and all that, and you have to buy it directly from them to get this game. It definitely looks interesting. I'm wondering how quickly it's going to sell out, because it's not actually, you can't actually buy it yet. I think it goes on, like you can pre-order it or get it October 13th or something like that. And then you can go online and order it from their website specifically. So it looks like definitely like an interesting game. I've watched probably like 5 different people review this game, and it looks like they enjoyed it. So I'm interested to see what this video game company can do when it comes to the whole board game arena, because it looks like they've tried to swing for the fences for sure. I know you guys have some interesting feelings on this. What do you guys think?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I'm not real fond of the company, so if it works, cool. If it doesn't, cool. If they make a quick cash grab, kind of like how I think they're going to, that'll be neat to watch. Who knows?
Yeah, because League of Legends is a free-to-play game, right?
Sort of.
Sort of. Free-to-play, but not free-to-win. Pay-to-win.
Well, it's not really pay to win, but it's not really free to play either. Like, if you wanted to play online matches, there are like characters that you would have to pay to play as, and then they kind of rotate them so that you get a feel for everybody. So it's not like you can play one of these three characters and the other 96 are going to be $5 a piece or whatever, you know. So they're kind of okay about it, but it's like, I mean, it's contemporaries like Dota. Dota's just free. If you want to buy a hat, you can buy a hat, but you don't have to buy a hat. You can just play the game. I don't know.
Nice. So do they always have like at least some free characters in rotation or whatever
Yeah.
when they do that?
Yeah,
Gotcha.
and then they change stuff, but I think it'll be interesting to see if they try to pull any sort of like, for lack of a better term, interesting pricing models or sort of systems like that in a board game thing.
Yeah, well, if the core game itself is solid, like even if they add like extra characters and content and stuff like that, I mean, you don't necessarily have to
Yeah.
get that stuff too. It would be interesting if someone made like an actual free-to-play board game and then actually had add-ons that you could pay and buy, that sort of thing. I mean, that model is actually kind of interesting.
As print plays.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you just take a huge loss for the hope that you might get some returns later for a negligible price thereafter.
I mean, it felt like how inexpensive Dice Masters was when it first came out. Like, oh my gosh, the sets are so ridiculously cheap, and you get all these dice and all these things. It almost felt like they were setting the core set and stuff like so low of a price just to try to get people to buy into the game, you know. But of course, that was a collectible model, so people weren't buying just the set. They were buying and buying and buying and buying. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, the game definitely looks like it's something that would be up my alley with the programming and things like that. And the fact that it takes it to like a cooperative level, a lot of people were talking about, okay, well, you've got to move your robot around and you can change up the program on the fly. And it's like, okay, you move a couple spaces and destroy some minions a turn. And oh man, now I got to get rid of that turn because it's going to be their next turn. Because in this game, the programming doesn't reset every single turn. They're just like programmed. And then you have to do things to actually change out your program. And you can't necessarily change all of it. So your mech's just kind of like going around doing its thing. And then you're like, okay, well, I don't need him to turn anymore. Or there could actually be opportunities where your teammate or one of the other players can push you, and that could actually help you to continue to do the sort of things that you're trying to do. So you can kind of work together in pushing people around, where in like Robo Rally, you'd push somebody around, and it'd be like, oh no, my whole plan is messed up. Well, everybody can openly see what everybody's doing the whole time. But it still has a timer, so you still got to try to do it quickly. It definitely looks interesting. I definitely think it's interesting that like all these people, like a lot of reviewers that I actually pay attention to and watch regularly and like actually trust their opinions on stuff, has said the game looks great and it plays great. So I'm pretty interested to see how this goes. I'm hoping that it doesn't just like immediately sell out and then the copies of it are like ridiculously expensive online, because then I'd be like, okay, well, that was a cool experiment. I guess that's another thing that I'll never have. So, but yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it all goes down, and if other companies try to continue to put up the same sort of quality that they've made in this game for that price point, would be ridiculous as well.
I do think it's interesting. Like, the game does seem pretty well designed. And I think it's interesting. I didn't realize how the review things work, so it seems like they just sent out a bunch of review copies to
Yeah.
big name.
Yeah, they
And then
basically
put it
sent
in
out
a
review
video.
copies to like every big name reviewer and like some podcasts, and they basically said, hey, you can't release any of the stuff you're going to make for this until this date. So it's really funny because like I maybe they set it to like the hour, because literally my YouTube feed was full of
They
like
probably
6
did.
or
Like, that's-
7 videos from
That's
tons of different
typically
people.
what like big name companies
Yeah.
do. Like, that's very typical in the video game realm. So I think it's interesting to see that sort of, I don't know, marketing in effect.
I mean, it's definitely very
Whereas-
good marketing overall. I mean, as long as the product's awesome to back it, like I think it's cool that people are getting their game out there and getting people to review it and talk about it, as long as like they're still like hard-hitting reviewing it, you know, instead of just being like, hey, they sent me a cool game, let's say positive things. But there's so many people that have reviewed it that I know and trust, so I'm like, this is probably going to be pretty solid. But yeah, and the price point isn't going to necessarily break the bank for what you get. Like, it's cheaper than a lot of Kickstarters that come with like less stuff. So I'm just like,
I think this is where I kind of diverge from you, because for me the gameplay seems very unilateral. Like, I know they have a campaign mode and all this stuff, but it seems very samey. Like, it's like, oh, this is what you do, and I mean, it's not bad and it looks like fun and I would definitely play it. But for $75, like, if you bought it, how many times do you think you would play it?
I mean,
More or less than Mansions of Madness?
I don't know. I don't think I'd play it more than Mansions of Madness, seeing that that's like one of my top games. But I'd probably play it more than Robo Rally.
Yeah, well, but how much is Robo Rally? Or how much was Robo
It
Rally?
currently is out of print. I have no clue. It was cheaper than that back in the day, but it also doesn't have like scenario play in the same way. You just kind of like set up the maps. I think it's interesting because they're doing like a sort of like semi like legacy, but not really legacy thing with the game. Like, they have all the scenario packets sealed and hidden, and after you beat them, you're supposed to open it up, and it might add more cards to the game or different modes of play. But it doesn't actually like mark up the board or make you rip up any cards. So if you wanted to sell the copy off or just put it all back and start over and do it again, you could do that. But it doesn't have that permanency that Legacy itself does. They've even said once you beat all the way through the campaign, it gives you rules to just make it harder, like do like an epic mode or like a legendary tier to go back through and try to beat it on a harder difficulty. I mean, it seems interesting. I mean,
it does seem very well designed.
I'm a very big fan of cooperative games. So most things that are cooperative, as long as it's like, I mean, it's a cooperative game where I get to run around and kill stuff. Like, I love all those games. Smack and hack and slash is just lots of fun. Rob, did you get a chance to look at the video much, or you just do you see any pictures of it, or like see the unboxing? Because I feel like knowing you, if you saw everything that was in that box, you would just be like,
I did see a couple pictures of everything in the box, but I didn't have time to get all my fluffy, happy feelings out. Just a really busy week with packing and other projects that I'm working on. It's like everything comes to fruition this week. And so, and plus I'm still on my Descent kick right now.
Oh yeah,
but like
so
that's the only
get
thing.
That game?
Yeah, and so like nothing else matters right now to me.
But have you even played through all the scenarios in Mansions of Madness yet?
No.
I mean,
but
that's fine. Don't jump on the hype train.
Well, I love Mansions of Madness.
Like 3 months
it was
from now,
already in my
nobody will
top
talk about
5
this
games. In the old one, when we did our top 5, it was my top 5. But like this whole app thing, and like the idea that Descent is kind of like a dungeon crawler D&D. Because I never got into D&D, but I only played it for the first time last year, and we didn't even finish our campaign. I don't know. This just seems really cool, especially for the fact that I can do it on my own. So I'm really just like, I feel like.
That's the thing about Descent for me, is like I never was like into like getting Descent just because I was so much into D&D. Because I was just like, well, this is Descent. I would just play D&D instead because it's very similar. But the app changes things up, because now you're not playing with someone being the dungeon master. You're all playing together, and you can also play it solo. Yeah, I'm definitely interested in like trying it with the Road to Legends stuff, especially since like a couple weeks ago they announced more stuff coming out for it. So they're obviously not like slacking on their apps for these games that they're making.
No, they just did an update for like 9 new missions.
Yep. So I'm like, man, they're still putting out content for that. So it's not like, oh, here's this add-on companion app we made. No, they're trying to like make it as good as possible.
Yeah, they legitimately are making it.
I saw somewhere online that they said that I don't know if it's true or not, but they said something like Descent sales like tripled after the app came out. So that's kind of crazy. But I'm sure that's like based off of like their current sales. But because a game I'm sure sells a way more when it first comes out, and Descent's been out for quite a while now. So
I think this is 4 years now.
Yeah, and people are still talking about that game. So something going on there.
There's got to be something there. It's these apps, man. The apps are changing everything for me.
Yeah, I'm really enjoying the hybrid thing. There was I I had posted my live play of Mansions of Madness, and someone in the comments said, I'm not really sold on the whole apps in board games thing. Like, I feel like they could just get rid of the board and they should have just made an app, and it should have just been an app and it would have been fine. And I'm like, well, I really still enjoy like the tactical feel of moving the things around and putting out the tiles and getting the cards and like tapping the cards when I use them and things like that is a lot of fun.
That's what's so great about these apps is it requires the board to play. You can't play without the board. And you can't play without, the board and all the pieces.
I mean, but they can change that.
I mean, they could, but they haven't. So right now, you need the board. It's compatible with the board, which makes it so fantastic.
Feel sort of the same if you had like a giant like tablet table thing where you can move the things around, but like if everybody's just passing around an iPad to take their turns, it's not really going to be the same as just being able to look out at the board with the miniatures and stuff on it.
Yeah.
What I said to the guy was, I for one welcome our new hybrid game Overlords. So I don't know if he liked that or not, but I thought it was funny. But yeah, I'm excited about the future. So I guess we'll go ahead and get into what we've been playing. So which one of you guys wants to talk about the big game that you guys got to play?
You want to talk about it, Matt, or do you want me to talk about it?
It doesn't really matter, man. Like, what do you want?
I don't care.
You know, Rob had been jonesing to play that game, so
yeah. So I'll talk about it. We got to play The Others, and our buddy Hector bought The Others at Gen Con, and he was kind enough to bring it to game night, but then he wasn't kind enough to learn the rules, so at game night he just sat there looking at me.
I think he attempted. He was working on it, and I've heard that rule book is rough.
It is a pretty big rule book, and he had attempted, but like, anyway, the game was just sitting there staring at me. And we're playing other games, and I'm like, hey, man, if you guys just want to pause for a while and let Hector read the rules on The Others, I'm okay with that. Are you guys okay with that? And so I finally got Matt and Hector to agree to that. And then we had another guy come in right as we started playing, so we really didn't miss anything. But The Others is a dungeon crawl type game where there is one person who's controlling the sin, and there's all the 7 different deadly sins, and then there's the other players that are controlling the faith team, even though they're not necessarily faith-based characters. Like, one of the characters is an ex-demon who just got mad at the sin player, so he became like a good guy. But it is a true one versus many. It is a true one versus many. And what I like about the game is it's very balanced. This is not like Mansions of Madness, where when you play the first edition of Mansions of Madness, the game is in the favor of the Mansion Keeper. This game is very balanced, where we had to work together to beat the Dungeon Master, but he just didn't have that much stuff ahead of us where he could just wreck us either. Now, he did kill a lot of our characters, and that's another thing I like about the game. The base scenario that we played is a scenario where we have to complete X amount of missions. We got 3 different missions. We had to complete them in order. And for us to win, we had to finish the 3rd mission. Mm-hmm. For the Sin player to win, he had to kill off all of our reinforcements to the point where we could not draw any more reinforcements. We could still have players on the map, but as soon as we ran out of reinforcements, the game was over and we lost. It is, to me, it feels like Call of Duty, the board game, with a religious theme. I mean, it's a lot of point and shoot and blow up stuff and try to get objectives. But sometimes I just really enjoy games like that, where I don't have to think too much. It's just like, okay, that's where the most bad guys are, and we got to kill those bad guys. Sure, where after a long week, especially last week, and this week is being the same. Last week was a crazy, stressful, and hectic week, and so the whole idea of just pointing and clicking and shooting was phenomenal. And so the game played well. I'm not crazy about the theme or the artwork. It is a vulgar game, so I would not play the game with like little kids or with like young people of that. It's definitely a mature theme, but I will say though the theme in a way didn't just jump out at me. Like it wasn't just spewing like sex and violence and other stuff at me. Like if you wanted to pay attention to the artwork, that could get you, but the game itself wasn't as vulgar. It's more the artwork and the theme, because like some of the sins, like lust is one of the sins. Some of the artwork and stuff like that is pretty lustful. But besides that, I enjoyed the game. I do want to play it again because we only played the base scenario. I also want to give a shout out to Hector. I thought he did a great job teaching the game, especially for a first time, because he typically doesn't teach. And so we just had a lot of fun. We had a good time, and I thought we did well as our team. I don't know how you felt, Matt, but we communicated well, and we got special powers, and we were able to have equipment cards. I mean, it's the same company that does Zombicide. Now the guy who created the game was Eric Lang, so you really can't go wrong with an Eric Lang game. I mean, it works well. We even made a couple comments like that during the game, like, "Wow, that was really great. Who made it? Oh yeah, this is Eric Lang's game. That's why it works really well." So you know,
I've heard he's made a few games.
He's done very well for himself.
At least 2.
I'd give it a thumbs up and I'd play again. So
I would too. Did you? I muted Skype because something was going on. Did you talk about how there are like different sort of objectives in each scenario, or not necessarily scenarios?
He
but there's
basically
three
just said that
types.
y'all had to go around and run and do them, but he didn't describe any of the missions that much. Besides saying you had to kill some guys or something.
Yeah, like we played the base mission where you just had to, like, each mission has like a sort of small flow chart of things that you need to accomplish in order to win. Mm-hmm. And then each of those has different objectives for the Sin player, I think. And then there's 3 different types. So there's the one category we played, which I don't remember the name of, unfortunately. But
what are you talking about?
We'll see. Like, so
we
were playing
Sloth and the
no, we played against Pride. But like, so the thing was there were certain, not really objectives, but like there's a redemption mission that you can do, and then each of those like redemption missions has a certain subset of things, and then on each of those missions you can choose what map type to set the board up as. So like you can choose type A or type B, so there's multiple ways to play through the same scenario. And then there's I honestly don't know how to explain it, but there are 3 different types of missions that will change the general feel of the game. And add in certain like new cards and new deck stuff for the Sin player to play with, and it seemed really interesting.
So the core set itself only has like 2 of the Sins, but it looks like it still has like a ton of replayability with all those different missions and things like that, right?
Yeah, I don't remember how many offhand, but it's like there's a good number. I know it's the different map variants and stuff like that.
And I'm sure once you add everything that they have out there for the game, because I've seen pictures of this online, like people are like, "Hey, my Kickstarter came in," and you see the thing, and I think most of the Sins are not Kickstarter exclusives, which is actually pretty cool. Like you can actually buy those.
Thanks, Cool Mini or not.
Which you can actually like buy after the fact, after the Kickstarter came out. But it's just like stacks and stacks of like all these boxes of miniatures that have like all the different names of all the different Sins on them and stuff like that, and tons and tons and tons and tons of minis. So yeah, definitely a Cool Mini or Not game there.
Yeah.
But yeah, awesome. Well, I guess I can go ahead and talk about the game I played. I got a chance to play the new game Innis, which is a game that's basically like Celtic-ish characters trying to take over different areas. Very much area control, dudes on a map. The game's really interesting because the whole game is based off of drafting cards, and the different cards you draft are your actions. So everybody starts, we were playing a 3-player game. I'm not sure how much it changes up with different player counts, but you start with a hand of 4 cards, and you pick one of those cards, and you pass it around. And then you get your next hand of cards, and you can actually, like, if you see 2 of the cards in there that you really want, you can actually put the one that you drafted already back in the hand and draft like 2 more, or you can just draft one of those cards and basically just go around and do like a normal draft, and these cards are going to do different actions for you. So they can do things like allow you to put more guys on the map, like it says, hey, put a guy in this area, or hey, put a guy or guys in 2 different areas you control, or hey, go attack people, or hey, you can put another sanctuary in this area. So there's sanctuaries, citadels, and then there's areas. So the different ways you can win the game is by having people in 6 areas over the board in all, so if you spread your people out all over the board, or if you control areas with six citadels, then you can win the game. Or if you control, or if you're just in areas with 6 sanctuaries, you can win the game. So it's all about trying to put your people in the right place to do different things. The combat in this game is very interesting because it's like super simplistic. You take people in and you attack. And so on your turn when you attack, you can say, okay, I'm going to kill off one of your guys, or I'm going to retreat, or I'm going to try to stop fighting. If everybody who's currently in that area decides to stop fighting, then your guys all just coexist there, which is cool. Or you can say, I'm going to kill off one of your guys. They're allowed to discard one of their action cards that they drafted to keep that guy alive. So they can keep their guys alive, but then they're going to have less actions for the turn. Or you can just kill off one of their guys, and then they get an action. They can kill off one of your guys, and you get an action. They can kill off one of their guys. So basically, you're just whittling each other's forces down. Basically, you're trying to get to the point where you can get to control of the one of the 6 different things, or one of the 3 different win conditions, and have like the 6 areas and those different things. And once you can do that, you take a thing saying, hey, I'm going to be able to win the game. It's basically like saying, I am in check, for like chess almost. Hey, I'm in check. I'm going to be winning the game, guys. If you guys don't stop me, I'm going to win the game. And then everybody else decides how they're going to mess you up and stop you from winning the game. Then you do another, or you keep playing, and then somebody else is like, oh, I'm in check. Now I'm going to try to win the game. And it's super interesting. It's really not very complex at all. It felt actually very abstract, but it was an interesting abstract dudes on a map game. It's got cool things like the citadels. You can retreat guys into there, and they can't be hurt during that combat. It's just about trying to draft the right cards, keep your opponent from drafting the specific action, because there's only a couple actions that allow people to attack, a few actions that allow people to get more dudes on the map, a few actions that allow you to do this, a few actions that allow you to do that. So there's not a whole lot of different action cards, and you're trying to draft the ones that are going to help the strategy that you're currently trying to do and keep your opponents from doing it. It took us a while to play this game just because we were very much into stopping each other from winning. So like Trevor would be about to win, I'd jump on some of his people, then AJ was getting really close to winning, and we were trying to like hold him back, and then I was about to win, and Trevor jumped a bunch of people on my guys, and then Trevor ended up winning that turn. So it was very back and forth. So it was super interesting because we were all very cognitive of how the other players were trying to win the game. So we were definitely able to stop them from doing that. Definitely an interesting game. It's
Would you play it again?
I would definitely play it again, but I don't know that it's something that I'm going to be like, I need to buy it right now. You know, it's like a good, solid game, but it's not like the top of my hotness, like need to have games. But it's definitely solid and fun. It just felt very abstract for me. Like, you know, I like a lot of randomness and a lot of craziness and a lot of crazy stories going on. It didn't really necessarily have a lot of that. It was just interesting drafting choices to make decisions on a very abstract-y style board. Just with the whole, I'm about to win the game, guys. Stop me from winning the game. Felt very much like chess almost. Like, okay, he's about to win. Now we got to do this to stop him from winning. So, I don't know. It was a lot of fun, though. So that is Innis.
Hype that game up a little bit more since it is technically one of my board game draft games.
I mean, it's the best. It is awesome. It is definitely a solid game.
Definitely log those plays on BGG, guys. Even though the game.
I should actually log that because I did play. So the only game that I've logged plays for is Mansions of Madness, just because I want to see that counter, like, because I played Mansions of Madness so many times. It's ridiculous. But yeah, what else are we talking about?
We played Sheriff of Nottingham.
We did play Sheriff of Nottingham.
I thought you were going to talk about the best fish game.
Oh, yeah, we played Happy Salmon and almost killed Roy's kid.
Oh, no.
I
played this at Gen Con, but this was the first time you guys had played.
Yeah, Happy Salmon is a game about casually beating the crap out of your neighbor's hand in an attempt to take the cards that are in your left hand and put them on the table. I think is the best way to describe it. I don't know. Effectively, Happy Salmon, you have 10 cards, I think.
8.
10,
I think
12,
it's 8.
something like that. It's like 10 or 12.
Isn't it like 2 of each? Because there's 4 pairs.
It's more than 2 of each. It's like 3 of each.
Okay, so it's like 12.
Yeah.
So you have 12 cards, and then there are 4 different actions that are on these cards. One of them is a high five. One of them is a pound or a fist bump, if you're not hip to the cool kid lingo. There is one called switcheroo, which makes you switch places with
Very
somebody
dangerous.
else. Yes, this is how children get decapitated or lose eyes or, various other things.
Was not that bad.
No blood was drawn,
Yeah.
which is a miracle. There was a little blood.
He busts his lip a little bit. It's fine. Don't
That
feel
was
bad,
after the
Rob.
fact.
It's okay.
That was after the fact. That wasn't because of
And then the last thing is just called Happy Salmon, where you essentially stick your arm out, and then you and the person you're doing it with slap each other on the forearm 3 times. And not on the tough part of your forearm where all your hair is and all that good stuff, like the soft underbelly of your forearm. So eventually, over time, you either develop a resistance.
Does it specifically say to do it right there?
I mean, it's just where it happens.
I'm pretty sure.
I guess
that's
you could
just
I guess you could back salmon. I don't really know how that would work, but
I don't. Yeah.
you just
I don't
go
know.
this way. Like, yeah.
It does say to slap on their forearm.
So the actual game is you take these cards all face down and you flip them over, and then you have one in front of you that now lists one of these 4 actions, and then you just start screaming that action until you see somebody else at the table with you who also has that action, and then you have to do that action, and then you can flip the next card over. So it gets crazy for no reason
Yeah.
at all.
Well,
It's one of
basically
those
because
games that's
you're really
oddly
trying
fun.
to get someone to notice you that has the same thing before someone else steals them away from you. So it's like, come on, fist pound. And it's the worst feeling ever when you're about to fist pound someone and someone else gets in there.
Jumps in. Yeah.
It's awesome, but it's like, oh man, now I gotta find somebody else who wants to fist bump. Come on, guys.
I will say 5 players. We didn't really have that happen too much.
Yeah.
It was mostly just like everybody was finding what they would need, or there were 3 people who were like, just waiting on you two to link up so that you can draw new cards so that we can just get on with this.
Oh, yeah.
But honestly, that is happens over the course of about 5 seconds. So it's not like you're
Yeah.
waiting there for a really long period of time.
Yeah.
It feels like forever just because the game is so frantic. You're like, ah!
Well, it feels like forever because you see other people doing stuff, and you're like, no. I need to be doing stuff.
You're like, no, guys, listen, pound it now.
I like how we taught Rob. We were like, Rob, so there's pound, high five, happy salmon, and then switcheroo. Go.
Yep, it takes like 2 seconds to teach
And
this
Rob
game.
just like
It
is
takes 3 seconds to play.
like, what?
Well, and then I got it too. Like I
Yeah,
almost
I mean,
won
you
each
picked it
game.
up. It was just like those first couple of cards. You were just like staring at people, like, what has happened
Yeah.
to society? Like, what is going on?
It
Oh,
is
was
one
it-
game that my wife said, that game is too loud. I'm like, you're probably right. We don't necessarily have to yell "Happy Salmon" at the top of our lungs.
I just like how immediately we would be like high five, and it would be a question with like an upward leaning inflection at the end, and then somebody else would go high five in the same upward leaning inflection, and then we would high five, and then there was a confirmation of both people going high five with like just a regular thing. Because it was funny because we also, I don't know, because you'd be like, happy salmon, happy salmon, happy salmon.
Yeah,
And it was just like-
when you actually link up with someone, it's like, yeah, Happy Salmon. Let's
For
do
some odd
it.
reason, we needed a verbal confirmation for the action that we were already physically doing. But it was, I don't know, it's a good game.
It's probably one of the
Pressing it.
games that looks the
alright.
most ridiculous from people not playing the game, looking at you guys playing
Yeah,
the game.
it's
They're
like-
like,
it's-
what the world are they doing? It
like-
makes no sense whatsoever.
That really old card game Mal, if
Yeah.
has ever played that.
That's where you just make up the rules as you go along, or you add rules as you
Absolutely,
go along.
and it just gets real goofy. And then people are like, "What are these guys doing at the picnic table with half of their shirt off?" And you're like, "Well, I mean, I have 3 cards, so I have to have half my shirt off." And you're like,
Obviously, I mean that's the way you play, of course.
"These are the rules." And then people are like, "Oh,
Matt was
okay."
playing
And then they
Strip
play, it, and the
Mal.
rules are just completely different.
Nice.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, that's what we've been playing. I guess we'll go ahead and get into our topic. What makes a game good? So the first thing, we're just going to straight get into it. What do you think makes a game good for you specifically?
Ooh, okay. You didn't say for us specifically.
Well, this first question, we're just going to say, what makes a game good for you? Like, for you, Rob, what makes a game good?
To me, it's to start off, for me to even go to the game store to touch your box and to look at you, I've got to like the theme. And I derive a lot of the theme from the artwork. So that initial hi, hello, touch me is all on how good you look, and I am judgmental. So
Rob judges a book by its cover or a game by its cover.
I do.
We all do.
And so that's it for me for the starting off. Besides that, it's got to have story and it's got to have good mechanics. I need something to draw me in. I don't want to just play a game for mechanics. Like, I need there to be a story. I'm playing games to escape. Don't just tell me to roll dice. No, why am I rolling dice? Am I going on this crazy adventure to do this thing to save Princess Coco? I need to know what's going on with Princess Coco, or don't ask me to play.
I was really hoping you were going to say Princess Kokujin, and I was like, yeah.
I was thinking he was going to say Princess Go Cuckoo. I was like, did that hatch out of the egg in his daughter's bed? I don't understand. Anyway, we're creating a narrative already.
Love it.
Go Cuckoo, the game with rich storytelling.
Yeah, for me, I feel the same. I mean, I like games to look good, definitely, when I'm playing them. Also, like, I play such a wide variety of games. I mean, my favorite games are games that are like strong narrative with like combat and like we're getting in there and doing cool things and sometimes working together, sometimes working against each other, whatever the game may be. But I just really need a game to, I guess, be fun to play for the most part. Like, I play a bunch of silly games. Like, we played Happy Salmon, and I mean, I feel like that game's good just because the crazy experiences or the craziness that ensues, it's definitely very random and probably a game that would probably wear on me after a while. But currently, I think it's fun. So I think to be a solid good game, it can't be too crazy, overly random. Like, if I play a game too many times and there's just like no rhyme or reason, like you're saying, yeah. Rob, you just roll dice and like there's no like real reason for rolling the dice. Like, you're just doing craziness and all that. Like, I used to play a ton of this is gonna be shaming, but I've been playing board games for a long time. I used to play a ton of Flux back in the day, and that game is just so ridiculously random that like after a while it's not really fun because there's no point in the game itself. Yeah. I feel like Munchkin is a lot the same way. Like, the game is so random that there's no real point in even doing it, and the narrative is not really very strong. Hey, you're doing a dungeon crawl thing and trying to power up a little bit, and then somebody at level 9 gets a potted plant and no one can stop them and they win the game. That's the
that must have happened to you a lot because you bring that up.
It has literally happened. Like, literally, I was like, hey, let's play Adventure Time Munchkin.
Is that why you don't garden?
Yes.
Like
we played plants. The Adventure Time Munchkin just because one of my friends, Phil, had gotten a copy of it. And I'm like, I like Adventure Time. I'm not a fan of Munchkin, but you got this game. Let's play it. So, because he really wanted to play. So we played, and the game, I won the game. It still ended the same way, though. Level 1 creature, and they couldn't stop me from winning. And the game always ends that way. It always ends. Other than that, it's just trashing each other out the whole time. Just super random. But yeah. I also need interaction in a game for the most part. Like, if I'm here playing board games, I want to be playing with like the other people at the table and like have fun, you know, and do things that either we're working together or things that can actually affect the other players in some way. Yeah. If we're all playing like 4-player solitaire, then there's not as much of a drive for that, you know. What do you think, Matt? What makes a game good for you?
I mean, I'll break this down into 2 categories to make it a little bit easier. Like, there are games that I will buy because I think they are good, and then there are games that I just think are good, but I won't buy. And it's not even necessarily because you guys have copies of them, but it's like, for me,
I like play that.
Yeah, it's like I like games that are either sort of smaller or like Deception, where it's a decent sized box, but it's not like pulling out Twilight Imperium, or like even Pandemic Legacy's box is kinda hefty. I mean, it's pretty big.
I would say Pandemic Legacy is probably the biggest game you have now, right?
Yeah,
As far as like mechanics heavy and rules heavy, I mean, it's a pretty heavy game, even whatever.
yeah.
Just because it continues to add to itself.
But it's like I like smaller sort of games that I can take to places where either people don't play games or places like I'm not gonna feel real bad if I take like Spyfall or Rhino Hero to like a bar and it gets trashed because it's like, oh look, that's $15, whatever, that's fine. But you know, you have a good time playing it, and you still create like a lot of interesting sort of like stories and stuff like that. But that being said, Spyfall and Rhino Hero are two games that have good components. And I feel like that is something that is very important to me because it's like I'm not really going to buy a whole lot of like big, crazy dudes on a map plastic games, so I don't really care too much about the miniatures. Now, there are some games that I probably will buy
Prob's
just
like
because
you're
they
wrong.
look pretty.
He's shaking his head no.
Just because they look pretty. But like the thing is, it's like I don't have to worry about Gokuku. Gokuku's not going anywhere. Gokuku's not breaking. Gokuku's not having any sort of issues.
Goku
Like-
is solid.
That game is just engineering in a can, and it's fantastic. But it's
Metal
like
can.
all the games I have like pretty quality components, like good quality cards and stuff like that. Because it's like I'm not gonna buy your. I'll play your game if it's made out of cardboard that was like it used to be a used pizza box and it like wasn't recycled. It was just like you cut it out and put a number 4 on it. Like I'll play it and then go, okay, that's cool. You should really do something about that. That's atrocious. But I'm not buying it. Like, so I don't know. It's got to be able to hold up and stand up. So.
So quality itself, not just the way it looks, but quality itself is important to you.
Yeah, because I mean, art to me is like it's really nice and it's really pretty, but I don't necessarily mind abstract games either, where I'm just sitting around with some wooden tokens or something like that, and then kind of making up things. That
No, but
doesn't
okay,
bother me
like
so
junk
much.
art. That's first of all,
Yeah.
junk art
It's still-
does
it's
have
still
good
beautiful,
artwork
though.
on the box, but it is still beautiful because you're making it beautiful. Like for example, when you guys played Ennis on Friday, I
Oh,
did
yeah.
not like the artwork at all. I
Really?
felt like that
I
was a
actually
high
liked it a
school.
lot.
I thought that was a high school project.
That's traditional
where the
Celtic
kid
art, though.
got an A, and they decided to turn his A class work into a game.
I actually
it
really like the
se-
art in the game, especially like on all the cards. It has that same similar. It's definitely
Yeah.
very different, but I think that might be part of why I like it. But yeah, it's pretty cool.
I don't know, the artwork on the box seemed like somebody who's really talented drew a picture, but I don't even want to say really talented,
Oh,
like an
well-
artist talented.
So,
Are you
so it's-
gauging entirely off the box or the cards and like the
Well, I didn't see like
the cards?
Oh,
The
I didn't
art
see the
style
cards
is the
inside.
same as the box. So
but it's not as weird as the box. Like I'll admit the box is a
the box was bright.
Yeah.
It was like watercolor or colored pencil bright.
It
didn't have
it's all
depth.
pretty bright like that. Like the whole thing is like that. But Matt, you were saying is like traditional Celtic-ish type of art.
I'm pretty sure it is very sort of that traditional style because it's like everything is like very heavily outlined, and then there's like
Yes.
just a lot of different hues and stuff like that. So it's definitely not like something that you would be used to, especially in modern things. But it kind of goes along with the theming. Like, have you ever seen the movie The Secret of Kells? Yeah, it's a kids movie that's on Amazon. Rob, if you haven't seen it, check it out. It's really good. But it has a similar art style, but more modernized.
Yeah, it's almost like all of the art is a Celtic knot. Almost is what it almost looks like. It gives you that feel, you know.
Yeah, like everything's sort of connected and punctuated and stuff. It's
Yeah.
I don't know. I like it. I can understand why some people don't, and
Yeah.
it's
It's definitely very
The
different.
artwork
It's
wasn't terrible, but compared to some of the artwork that we see now, it just didn't do it for me.
I think it's just a style thing because I mean,
Yeah.
It's
I
a
feel
style. Yeah.
I feel like the art itself is solid, and I think it was interesting because it was different from other games. But it's definitely not the like modern art that you see on like a lot of games and things like that. It's just
Well, like the other thing, like here's not the Never mind. It doesn't matter. The artwork was the artwork. I don't want to get into an argument about it.
But I do.
Well, okay, what's that game? Borderlands?
Yeah.
All right, you know how the artwork and when you play Borderlands. Now, I like that artwork,
The
but it's
sketchy
bright,
type stuff?
it's sketchy, it's anime. It's like playing a game of like Borderlands, and then playing
funny
a
you bring that
game
up.
like Skyrim. Almost, maybe not even Skyrim, because Skyrim's too big for the depth. I don't know, like a game like Dark Souls where it's really detailed. Now,
Yeah.
forget the gritty part of it. I'm just talking about the detail. Like Borderlands is bright and colorful. Innis didn't have that depth. I don't know if it's like the shading or whatever, but it really didn't have the depth. Like it looked like an artist just drew a picture, but it didn't seem multi-dimensional to me. It just was a picture.
Well, it's not. It's not, because traditional Celtic art is. It's funny you bring up Borderlands because it also has outlines on literally everything that's around it.
Yeah, that's why I
Um,
use that as an example.
But so not only is it outlined, but the majority of artwork is very sort of two-dimensional and very flat. So
Flat.
you're not. Yeah.
Yes.
It's flat, but it's flat by design. So, yeah. That. I feel like that's all we can really say about it. Rob's
Yeah.
not real keen on traditional Celtic art, and that's
Well, like-
that's it. I mean, it's what it is, though. It's not like
Yeah.
I'm not trying to be like, hey, man. I'm not a big fan of like
Like,
know.
You look at Spyfall. Spyfall is bright, but to me, when I see Spyfall,
I mean,
see
honestly, I
see
like
depth, and I
holding
see
up
the difference.
Spyfall. I like the art on Innis
For
way
Innis?
better than the art in Spyfall, which is kind of crazy because I mean,
I'm not talking about that I'm a fan necessarily. I'm just talking about the depth, the flatness that Matt was talking about. Innis, to me, when I see it, it seems flat to me, and I'm just more of a fan of depth. Give me depth.
gotcha, cool.
Makes sense.
I'm a Chicago deep dish style pizza fan.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting just because it wasn't. I mean, I feel like it was probably pretty maybe risky for them to do it like the way they did it because I mean, it's probably not an art style that everybody likes, but I thought it was definitely interesting. I mean, it literally like felt like, oh, this is the kind of art you would look like if you were like tripping on something or something like that. I don't know.
Well, speaking of games that we like, unless I played Ennis and it really blew me away, I don't know if I buy it because of the artwork.
Gotcha.
Yeah. But you also said that artwork is sort of very important.
Very high.
To you. So
Well, yeah, it helps you. It helps you get away. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
Like
No.
it's, and to me, I need that because I deal with people all the time, and sometimes I just want to escape. And if you're not helping me escape, I don't want your product.
Awesome. Are there any mechanics that you are typically drawn to in a game?
Card drafting. I just really like it. I think there are very few games that don't benefit from like card drafting. I don't know.
Card drafting is fantastic. And if we want to call it a mechanic, I like co-op games. I'm drawn more to co-op games. And then I would have to say area control or strategy-based games. That will get my attention quicker than other games.
Yeah. I mean, I like a pretty wide variety, but like I love social deduction mechanics.
Yeah.
I love like Rob was saying, a lot of area control mechanics because we had a whole episode about that. And me and Rob just raved about how much we love all kinds of games that fit into that category. I'm pretty sure I'll play any cooperative game at least once just because I love co-ops. And I feel like playing against the board game and working together as a team is just something that I really enjoy in games.
It
And I
brings
mean,
people together, and
Yeah.
it gives them that interaction that we all like and enjoy so much.
Yeah, and I definitely feel like, I don't know, I'm just predisposed to liking co-ops for the most part. I mean, I less like them a little bit if they're just way too puzzly and less thematic, but I still really enjoy like all co-ops.
I agree with it. I don't think there's anything worse than trying to solve a Sudoku puzzle with 5 other people. Like that kills me. Like there are some games that we'll play and it'll just get to that point for me where I'm just like, I just don't care about this anymore.
Yeah.
Everybody's still like really going hard on puzzles and stuff, and I'm just like, this has absolutely no purpose to me because it's like what I want to do is either pull it in front of me and sit it down and tell everybody else to be quiet and figure it out, or I just don't care. And it's like,
He doesn't want to Sudoku in a group.
Yeah.
Also, narrative is really huge in games. Like if there's a storyline or
But is that a
overarching
mechanic?
theme. I don't know if it's like specifically a mechanic. Like I mean, it could be.
I would say it is in like Mice and Mystics and stuff like that, where it's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
scenario driven.
I mean, even like in games like Time Stories or in like different like legacy games that are very like story driven. I feel
But
like
see,
there's
that's
a
more
huge
theme to
narrative.
me than it is mechanic. Like a mechanic is something that the game.
You're right. I mean,
But like a mechanic is something that you do in the game. The story is the setting of the game.
Right.
But like you don't
But
have
so-
a story when you're doing your drafting. You're drafting.
but
you're-
a lot of
Would you
times,
not? Would you not say that a game like Pandemic Legacy is story driven?
I would say
And
that
I
the
would
story is a
list-
big part of it, but I wouldn't say the story is the mechanic of the
What
game.
about what
I would
about is it a mechanic if it's like a lot of text that you read and then it has like some checks or different things, maybe like event cards like in Mansions of Madness or
See, to
Elder
me, the
Sign.
only game that comes to mind where that works as a mechanic is Tales of Arabian Nights, because you're playing a book, but you're playing a
Yeah.
book.
Yeah, yeah.
The game is a book,
that
and
is
you're
the-
playing a choose your own adventure.
Well,
the other
also
stuff
I
are
really like
just-
that too. So
Well, yeah, but I'm just saying, like, your argument, and not that you're arguing, but the statement you're making is like my asymmetrical statement that we had about Blood Rage in the draft. It's like
Well, I'm not
It is
saying that narrative is a mechanic. I'm just saying I am drawn to.
well, the question is,
games
young
like
man,
that.
what is your favorite mechanic? And you're saying narrative.
I'm inclined to agree with Roy as long as you don't phrase it
Son of a gun!
as long as you don't phrase it as like
I got
narrative.
Matt for once. Yes.
I think there are games like Mice and Mystics, like Tales of Arabian Nights, where the story is what makes the game. It's not necessarily the mechanics. Like, sure, there's like Mice and Mystics. You like,
But that's not the
you know,
question.
you
It's
have-
not what makes the game. The question is what mechanics do you like?
Well,
But the
even-
thing is,
what about,
when you're categorizing the game, do you just when you say Mice and Mystics or Tales of Arabian Nights or like Pandemic Legacy or any of these games that have like really good stories, do you just say, "Oh yeah, Mice and Mystics"? It's a game where you have some squares and you have mice and they fight. Like no,
Well,
you talk about the story
The
because
mechanics in the game of Mice and Mystics is more of dice and control and,
what
and
about
things like that.
above and below? I mean, the storybook itself is a mechanic, right?
I haven't played that game, so I can't.
It's
I
very
can't-
much Tales of the Arabian Nights sort of thing. Like,
but with an actual game attached to it.
but I feel like the same thing happens when in like Eldritch Horror, where you're doing these events, but the
But
events
that's not
are
a mechanic.
the events are very story driven. Events in games are mechanics.
Sure, they are. Eldritch Horror and all that stuff is very story driven. But all right. It would not be a fun game, but you could take the story out of Tales of Arabian Nights and you could take the story out of Mice and Mystics and still play a game. Would not nearly be as fun, but you could roll the dice and fight the monster, and that would just be it. Or you could try to get the cheese. You could still do that without the story. So is it a mechanic? No, it's just an added bonus, and it what makes
I'm
us love
saying
the
in
game.
specific games, like they use the narrative as a mechanic.
I mean, you're saying the narrative is like an event card, and sure, like, all right, I don't want to argue tonight. Yes, you guys are right.
Hey, we win! Yeah.
Nah, I'm always on the winning losing argument. That's fine.
Awesome. Oh crap! That's why
We're
Matt
still
was on
wrong.
my team. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, man. I don't win
Um,
games. It's good.
So, do you think a game is good if it sells a lot of copies?
No, I think it's generated by hype. It doesn't like it. It's one of those like, just because column A is true, column B doesn't necessarily have to be true.
Would say this is actually
yes.
hard for me.
I would say yes, but I'm basing those sales after the first month. Just kind of like a movie. When Batman vs. Superman came out, it broke records for that opening weekend. That next weekend, though, people saw what they paid for and word got out. And so there are some games that have an amazing takeoff. But the question to it is, does it continue to sell? And so that's where I think the board gaming industry is different than movies and other stuff. Not that we were comparing that, but a board game, if it's going to do well, it's going to continue to sell. And so that's why I say yes, because games that continue to sell are good games.
To me, it's kind of interesting because I guess if a game continues to sell, it's got to be good to somebody, even if that person's not me. But like one of the top selling games ever is like Monopoly and Trivial Pursuit and Scene It and all these other crazy games that are like mass market games. Is like, is it actually good, or is it just the fact that people don't know about the other games out there? So it's a hard one for me.
And I may get crucified for saying this. The games are not bad games. They're just generic, simple games that anybody could play. We are the type of people, and board gamers are the type of people where when it comes to artwork, we like a little bit more depth. Monopoly is very flat. You buy properties, you sell properties, and that's it. But for a lot of people, it's a quick, easy gift that anybody could buy. Those same people will play our games.
Do you think the people that are getting that as a gift are playing it and enjoying it?
I don't mind Monopoly. I own a copy of Monopoly.
Do you think there's people that if they had the chance to have a completely different game, they could have something that they would enjoy or would be a better game for them to play?
Of course there's better games than Monopoly. There's always going to be better games than the last game that came out. I mean, that's... I don't know. My parents used to tell me this all the time because... I'm a big guy, and they always used to say, Robert, there's always somebody bigger, so, like, chill out. So it's like, there's always going to be a better board game. So I don't know if that's necessarily a valid argument. But is Monopoly a terrible game? No. But it's a terrible game to hobbyists, okay? But that's because these are picky people who like a specific part of the hobby. They're not buying Sorry in Life and Monopoly. They're buying Terra Mystica and Mice and Mystics and Twilight Imperium.
I think there are lighter games that are easier to play than Monopoly that people would probably enjoy a lot more than Monopoly. I feel like at this point in the hobby that if Monopoly disappeared, it would be better for everyone in the world. I feel like if Monopoly was gone and we could give those people that are buying gifts better games that they could enjoy and actually play instead of just collecting dust in their closet.
Then advertise.
Complaining about it.
Then advertise. Because that's the one thing that Monopoly does well, and that's why it sticks around, is the advertise.
I'm pretty sure it's just brand recognition.
When's the last time you've seen... Yeah, it's brand recognition. Like, when's the last time you've seen a TV ad for Monopoly?
It doesn't have to be a TV ad. It's a store ad. It's some type of thing. It's whenever a movie comes out. How many Harry Potter Monopolies or Lord of the Ring Monopolies are there? The point of the matter is it still sells. They wouldn't make it if it didn't sell. And it's not a terrible game. It's just not a game that we enjoy.
But does it get played? That's the question mark. Like, it sells because Grandma knows what Monopoly is, and it's like, oh, it's look, it's Marvel Monopoly. I know.
I
Timmy
played this
likes
back
Spider-Man.
in the 1920s during the Blitz. So.
And they just keep slapping different IPs onto it, and it doesn't like change the game. It's just, hey, it's this Monopoly and that Monopoly, and somebody buys it for someone so they can put it in their closet and it sits there. And it's funny because a lot of people that I know that don't play board games, they know what Monopoly is, and they all talk about how much of a not good experience it is. Like, it lasts forever, causes fights, all these different things. And I feel
you typically have one guy who's the banker who's just stealing money or selling properties at a lower value to himself or whatever.
I feel like if we could be like, hey guys, let's not play Monopoly, let's play Dixit. Or hey, let's not play Monopoly, let's play like Telestration. Even Telestrations is like a super simple game, but just like games that are going to bring people together and be more fun, it would be better than that.
Can I ask you a couple questions?
Yes.
The majority of the people that you hang out with, family and friends, the majority of the people that you surround yourself with, what percentage would you say of those people play games of some type?
I mean, what do you mean? How light are you going? Like
games.
Most people, period, play some sort of games.
All right. How about this? Border card games. Not cell phone games or anything, but like boarding.
Not basketball.
Are you talking about like my entire like everybody I know?
Yeah. Would you say that your percentage is over 50%? Because you hang around people. I'm not saying people that you work with. People that you hang around and your family, they're avid gamers.
I mean, not my whole family, not like my extended family at all.
Okay, but you talk a lot about playing with like your in-laws and stuff like that, and I know you grew up playing and your family plays a lot. Here's my point: is a lot of people in my family don't play games. And if we do play any type of game, it's one or two different versions of card games. That's really it. We don't play anything else. But when I try to introduce them into a fun, simple game like a Sheriff of Nottingham or like a Machi Koro that's different, simple, and fun, they won't go for it. But if I were to bring out a game on a Monopoly, they'd play it. Now, I could tell them till I'm blue in the face that Monopoly
family of sociopaths.
It's not that I have a family of sociopaths. People don't like.
I still think
just
it's that
people in general
brand
don't like
recognition and
change.
not being changed.
Absolutely, it's
Yeah.
brand recognition. 100%, it's brand, and that's what they're comfortable with, and so that's why they'll play it, and that's why it continues to sell and sit in the
But
closet.
to get back to the root of the question, does that make it a good game?
It's not terrible,
I disagree.
but that's because you had a bad experience. But the game itself is not.
I don't
terrible.
think I've talked to anybody who's played Monopoly who has had a good experience.
See, that's my
and
problem. Is
want
there's
to
a
go
few
back and
people that are
play.
like, it's okay. But
I feel like
there's
it's one
so
of those
much
things where it's
negative that I
like, man,
hear.
what could we do? We could play a game of Monopoly, or we could shoot ourselves in the foot for an hour. And they're like, Monopoly. I think that's a good option. I feel like typically that game gets pulled out either at family reunions,
Yeah,
because no one knows what else to do, and grandma's tired of watching the TV,
yeah.
or it gets pulled out because you're literally about to stab yourself in the face with boredom, or like from boredom. So it's like, I don't think that makes it a good game.
I'm not saying that it's the greatest game or even a good game. I think it's an okay game. I know people and
But that was
that
the
enjoy playing it,
question.
and the question is it a good game? And I'm saying, yeah, it's okay. So boom.
that was a solid maybe.
I would play it if a group of people got together that wanted to play the game. I'd be like, sure. Now, if there were other games optioned, I would probably pick another game. But like, if my wife and her family wanted to play Monopoly, I'd play Monopoly with them. I don't have a problem with it. It's not going to make me upset, and it's fun and it's stupid, and you make crazy deals with people that you know you're not going to be able to honor later.
You make deals like nobody.
I do make deals.
So I think that might be why you have such a love of Monopoly, whereas most of us vanilla people are just like, I bought a property, I bought this property, I built a house, you landed on it, paid me $36.
No, man, I make crazy deals. On your 17th turn, on the next round, you don't have to pay me any money if you sell me this right now for $4.
That's against the rules.
It's not against the rules.
It is against. You're not allowed.
How do you know you don't even play Monopoly?
Because I listened to a podcast where they're talking about the rules of Monopoly, and they said that you can't
What is
make
wrong with you?
you can't make deals
He's an ultra
about
hyped.
not having to
You can make house
pay
rules.
things. I mean, yeah, but then you're not playing Monopoly, are you?
You're playing a house rule version,
You're no longer playing Monopoly.
but you are playing Monopoly.
Right.
Oh man, next question.
Next question.
Next question. So do you think a game is good if it's in the top 100 of Board Game Geek?
No. Just keep answering this way.
I don't think any games are good. They're all garbage except for these couple social deduction games. That's Matt's answer.
Like it's all an opinion, so it's
Right.
like I don't know. I mean, like a bunch of people love Dominion. I would like probably burn a copy if somebody gave it to me, just to get it off me.
Like it's possessed or something.
Yeah,
no,
I mean,
don't touch me.
It's like this is attached to me. I'm just gonna have like one of those cards in my back pocket forever, and it's just gonna be like, "Hi, I'm the guard." And I'm like, "Get away from me!" This is voodoo witchcraft. But I don't know. Like it's all opinion based, so it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, Twilight Struggle's very high up on the BGG list, and it's like, oh, that's cool. I don't know.
Twilight Struggle was #1 for forever.
I've actually never played Twilight Struggle, so that's a bad example. I don't know if Dominion's still in the top 100.
It's
If it
not.
is,
It's.
like,
I mean,
It is. I'm
yeah.
pretty sure Dominion has been, or at least it was for a while. I haven't
Oh,
checked it.
trash can that game.
I mean, I feel like. I mean, I like Dominion. I think Dominion's a good game. I think there is a lot of solid games. I feel like, because to be in the top 100, that means that tons and tons of people have to have rated it, like, pretty high, like lots of 10s. Like, normally is what helps it be solidly in there. And lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of people saying they owned it and actually rating it. So, if tons of people are buying it, tons of people are actually going on Board Game Geek and rating it, I mean, I'm going to say that probably every single game in the top 100 is good to somebody, because it has to be. It has to be, because they rated it a 10. Like, there
you
are
can make
lots
the
of 10s
exact
on
same
these.
argument about Monopoly.
But Monopoly is not
Right.
in the top 1,000 on
No,
Board
but
Game
the
Geek.
question is about, we were talking about sales, and
Right.
companies are not going to make something that's going to lose them money.
Mhm.
Boom.
I mean, I'm not saying it doesn't sell. I'm just saying it's not good. Because people aren't saying this game's
Still
a 10.
boom.
This game's a 10. People are rating Monopoly a 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 constantly.
I don't know. I don't think everything on the top 100 is going to be a good game.
I agree.
Much in the same way that
there's
I
a
don't
lot
think
of them
every
that
game
I
that's
will
popular is a
I
good
will
game.
never play. They're like super Euro games that are super heavy and super deep that people
Or
are super
out of
into.
print.
And they're probably
So the thing
super
is,
out of
would you
print.
categorize that as a good game? Because all of these questions are opinionated, so at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. But like, would you play like one of those like heavy Euro games? Like what is the new one? Like Food Chain Magnet?
I
That's
can
like heavy Euro.
I cannot play a game and actually dislike a game. Like I can dislike a game and still think that the game itself is good. Does that seem weird?
No,
Yes.
not at all. But you're like one of the few people who actually have some semblance of self-control in that regard. Like if I go to a
Because I'm
movie and
like,
thought it was
okay.
trash, I'd be like, "Oh, this sucked."
I hear people talk about this game all the
I'm not gonna
time.
look at the
I hear
score,
people
the-
talk about how they like the strategy and figuring out things like that. It is not a theme I'm interested in at all. It's not a thing that I would probably even want to play. Just because there's probably not enough interaction in it. There's no randomness. It's all like strategy, and people are min-maxing their things out. And okay, well, this card came up, so that means I need to do this time. And people are just working on those strategies and getting super deep into the game. There's a lot of stuff going on for people that like that. But I am not that person, and I think that the amount of people that do like it and do enjoy it and do say it's solid and strategically sound make me be able to recognize it as a game that's actually good, even though it's not something that I would ever touch, you know?
I think it's just kind of back to that hype thing that I was talking about earlier. It's like games that typically are in the top 100, people are going to be like, "This is a great game, yeah," and it's going to be like a lot of like hype or buzz or talk or chatter and stuff like that. And so people might buy something based off the word of another person alone, but they're not you. They don't have your opinion, so they're not
Right.
going to be able to tell you what you think is good or bad. So at the end of the day, you're the one to decide that. So
I know.
I don't
does
really
it
look at
match?
lists. I don't really look at what sells well. I mean, just learn about the game and then
Right.
decide from there.
Yeah, I mean, that's
Or
a very
play
good
it.
point.
I freaking won clam chowder. You said chatter, but I was thinking of chow.
There
That
you go.
sounds like really good right now.
You just made Rob very hungry.
Rob's just gonna like turn around and be like, "All right, guys, we're just gonna make some 11 o'clock clam chowder."
Because that's good for my body.
I mean, it's not like the worst thing you could eat.
It's not,
I ate like a
Yeah.
pound of French fries for lunch.
but you're beautiful,
That's also an opinion.
which people share.
A couple. You were in the minority there, but that's fine. I
Anyway,
appreciate the compliment, nevertheless.
Awesome. Well, is there anything in particular that makes a game fall flat for you?
So
I
since
will-
I was already bashing on Dominion, I'll just go ahead and tell you what I hate about Dominion. It's the fact that I don't care about your turn. I don't care about my turn. I don't care about anybody's turn. Like the game to me is so just uninteresting that I just don't care about anything that's going on. Like even when I was learning it, I was like, okay, this is kind of neat. And then by like turn 2, I was like, none of this matters. Like nothing that you say or when you're talking about what you're doing, I'm not interested. I don't care about what engine you're building or anything like that. I don't care about what engine I'm building. I'm just picking up cards that I think look pretty. I want to look at the artwork on them. Like that was my drive to continue playing that game. I don't know. It's like a distinct lack of interaction, and then games that get so heavy and just laden with rules and stuff like that, or combos and stuff like that. Like I don't even care. Like you could just be cheating and I wouldn't care. Like it's the same thing with Monopoly. Like so, like if you're like, oh, I bought this property for $500 and you were actually supposed to pay $6 or something, I'm like, I don't care. I just want this to be over.
That's
Like, it
crazy.
just-
I'm gonna make a confession to you, Matt. I had the app for Dominion on my phone. It wasn't like an official app. This was like a long time ago. There was an app that was on the App Store for Dominion. I got it on my phone. I have played over 300 games of the base game of Dominion. Just the base game, because that's all it ever had. And I would just click random. I'd play the game real quick. And, I mean, I didn't play it with other people, but I've played the games that I have, like with Dominion Prosperity and other Dominion. And
you sick individual.
I really enjoy the building of the like that's the entire game is just figuring out ways to build the combos and figure out how to make it more efficient and faster than the other players because they have the same access to the cards.
Do you want to know something that's interesting that I think it actually works far better as an app than it does as a card game?
I mean, you're probably right because you don't have
to interact. So and everything is automated, so I don't have to listen to the guy beside me explain for 10 minutes why his engine is running the way it is as he plays cards and then runs through his deck and it goes, I got 43 points. What? And I'm like,
really,
I don't.
The only thing in Dominion that you have to pay attention to for other people is the province cards, which are the points. You just pay attention to when they're grabbing points to kind of know if they're doing it faster than you. So you can try to make sure you are like, because in the game you switch from building your engine to like buying points because the points kind of slow your engine down. So you have to be like, okay, he's buying points, so I need to buy points to keep up, and just be like, okay, well the game's closer to ending because he bought more of those, and trying to end it before he has more. It's kind of, I mean, there's not a whole lot of interaction in the game at all.
I'll actually just take a stand. I'll just get up on a soapbox right now and take a stand against. I hate victory point mechanics in pretty much any game.
Yeah.
They are
right.
Garbage. Like Twilight Imperium, fun game. Victory points, oh god, why?
The game has to end somehow, I
guess.
guess.
So much less interesting.
We could just take the victory points out and just be like whoever conquers the entire galaxy.
Like when somebody comes up with like a concept that isn't victory point based, that's still like just as good as victory points, or like actually like involves theme. Like Zaya does this a little bit, where you get points for doing things, and it's like you don't feel like you're getting victory points. You feel like you're accomplishing something and doing things and stuff like that. Whereas
but
other
don't
games,
you get victory points for doing things in Twilight Imperium? I had to complete all those special objectives and control those specific planets. It felt very thematic for me, but you just didn't know what I was doing while I was doing it.
The idea, though, what he's saying is like in Twilight Imperium, it's a mission. It's a mission based, and in Zaya, it's like, part of the consequences of your story.
Yeah. It's like you do something and then you get rewarded with a victory point. It's not you see it and then you know that like you need to do it.
You're running for it.
Yeah. It's like in Skyrim when you stumble upon something neat as opposed to having a mission objective that you just have been running for like an hour.
Bro,
that makes sense.
When you run into that thing in Skyrim and you're not leveled up for it and you're like, no, save! I'm about to die. I love that game.
It's good.
But yeah, things that make games fall flat for me are definitely lack of theme. So it's just like, meh, no theme, nothing to really like drive you to continue to play the game. Lots of cube pushing, or just like at the end of I want to be able to make a story or make some sort of like memorable thing while I play the game. Like the game doesn't itself have to necessarily 100% be like, this is what you're doing in this magical land. Like, but when I get done playing the game, I want to be able to be like, man, remember when Matt did that thing? Man, that was so crazy. And then Rob did that thing over there. Oh, man, that was great. And then you guys, like, screwed me over. And, man, I hate you guys, but it was still fun. But, like, I want to make some sort of, like, story, a memorable thing. If at the end of the game, all I can say is, well, I got second place because Matt had, like, 5 more points. And then Rob had, like, 1 point less than me. So I guess at least I got second. But all I can really tell you is the numbers of the points that we got. Like, and that's the only story I have at the end of the game.
Yeah, you have a drive to make memories that are lasting and impactful, because otherwise it is an abject waste of time for you.
I mean, yeah. I mean, other than that, the only thing would be like, I crushed those guys in that game because I got the 5 more points than they did. Psh,
and then you put your dick on the table.
Oh, man. Do I need to bleep that?
It's fine.
Yeah.
Would you like me to use the technically correct term?
No, we're good. What do you think, Rob? What makes a game specifically fall flat for you?
Lack of theme, which because we're not talking about mechanics, we're just talking about things that we don't like. So lack of theme will kill a game for me, and also major downtime. I am the type of person, when I play a game, I think of what I'm going to do on my next turn while it's somebody else's turn. But I hate playing that game with people that don't pay attention at all. And then they spend their whole turn figuring out, okay, here's what I'm going to do, to then do their 30-second thing. That already annoys the fire out of me. It's like, please pay attention. But then you're going to add in a game like Forbidden Stars, where not only does that happen because strategy and things like that, people don't pay attention, and then they have to come up with their whole strategy in 10 minutes when they should have had it ready. But then the downtime you have just for the battle. And even the battle in that game can bring a lot of downtime, because then people are going to decide, well, he played that card last, and we have 3 rounds of battle. Am I going to play this card now? And blah, blah, blah. It's just, that will kill a game for me, where I don't care. I'm just like, you won. Roy, you won. You scored 1 billion points. You set the world record. I don't care. You won.
Yeah.
So that and lack of theme for me.
And it seems
I don't
like
want to
there's
get
so
into
many good
Euros,
mechanics.
I just don't care.
There's so many good mechanics in games these days to
Yeah.
prevent downtime. Like, hey, simultaneous actions. That's a thing. Like, work that into your game.
Yeah.
Or like, hey, really short actions. Like, you do a thing, he does a thing, she does a thing.
Yes.
That
Yeah,
guy
yeah.
does a thing, you do a thing, he does a thing.
You're
she does
always
a thing.
going to run into that guy who takes forever just because they're stupid. And I will call you stupid to your face unless you're related to somebody on this podcast.
Don't be like, hey, you have 13 actions on your turn. They could be 37 different things each. Go take your turn.
Well, it's the same thing
We'll
that
go
Matt
to the
says with
grocery
Dominion. Like, you're going to take all this time to explain something. And the other thing about the downtime, and to pile on to Matt's point, especially when it does not affect me.
Oh, yeah.
When I'm playing a game and you can take 10 minutes and you're working the whole 10 minutes, but then it doesn't affect me at all, I don't care. Like, that's why I like area control. You doing something affects me because it's going to affect my neighbors, who are then going to affect me. And so, yeah, downtime will just kill it. There's too many good games out there to have to worry about it.
I'm actually like decently tolerant of downtime, which is terrible, I guess.
Well, you teach games, though. You have to.
The situation that I grew up in. Not saying that I had to deal with a lot of analysis paralysis or anything like that.
Your father. I'm going to say it.
I love you, Dad.
Hey, I think Chris is a really nice guy. Just wish he'd pay attention when it wasn't his turn.
I don't know. Anyway, analysis paralysis.
You don't know that he's a nice guy, or you don't.
I know he's a nice guy. I just don't want to
Okay.
dog out people on the podcast. Anyway, but yeah, so games that minimize downtime is definitely a plus. Like games that, even a game that doesn't have much interaction, like Race for the Galaxy, has barely interaction, but it is constantly uptime. You know, like you're constantly always doing something.
That's the crazy thing for me, is
stop.
because I don't necessarily mind Race for the Galaxy, but it's very much like Dominion, but it still engages me in a way that Dominion doesn't.
Right. It's always
Is
uptime.
Race for the Galaxy the new Game of Thrones theme?
No. Race
That's Cosmic Encounters.
Cosmic Encounter. Okay.
Race for the Galaxy is the one with all the crazy icons and all that stuff. But the cool thing about that game is that
That's right.
Yeah.
it's always simultaneous actions. Everybody's always taking their actions at the exact same time.
So
do-
it makes you be a part of the game.
right.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's always uptime. Like, it's like, okay, well, we finished that round. Everybody choose your action. Let's go again. Like, you never have downtime at all. There's not much interaction in between the players. Because, I mean, besides the fact of, I really hope he picks this action or that action. But there's no downtime. Like, I would love, like, more games to have that. Where it's just, like, always uptime. Like, you're just always constantly playing the game. It's really cool.
And that also, like, from a technical perspective, simultaneous actions like that increases the amount of time played of the game. So, like, if your game, like, let's say takes 3 hours, but you don't have simultaneous actions, and, like, you play with, like, let's say 3 people, each person essentially played that game for an hour. Everything else was just them watching or taking in stuff like that. So if you have simultaneous actions, though, then all of a sudden it becomes everybody played that game for 3 hours.
That 3 hours
So that's
is a
now,
true 3 hours.
yeah, so that's now like 9 hours of total playtime for that one game because 3 people played it, as opposed to 3 hours because 3 people played it. Like, it, from a math perspective, you get more bang for your buck with simultaneous actions as well. Not only with all the other stuff we talked about. I don't
It's
know.
like the planets. It's like it's the Aquarius of Polyus. The upper part. Yeah.
So if you're a designer listening to this, design uptime into your game and simultaneous actions because they're cool.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I was just thinking of Dead of Winter. One of the best uptime games because you are flipping out when it's not your turn, and we will shame people into doing what we want to do.
And I mean, the
Freaking
more
love it.
characters you get, the more downtime you can have in between turns, but you never have
But you're never
tons
really
of
down.
actions. You have like 2 characters to start, and you might get 3. If you're lucky, you'll get 4, but I never get 4. My characters just die. So
I mean, the thing about Dead
only
of
have
Winter
1.
is it engages you in the game because it's cooperative. Even if
Yeah.
even though it has a traitor, it's still a cooperative experience, and you're trying to do your best as a group,
Yeah.
plus or minus a person, to accomplish a goal. And it's not like I'm trying to build the ramparts and Rob's out gathering food, And it's
Yeah.
like you're doing that to strengthen the colony. But if like we all had our own individual colonies and we were trying to play to like vie control for strategic resources, that to me seems so much less interesting than Dead of
Bro.
Winter. Like Rob, I know, got like full on excited.
Warring
Area
colonies.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't Colby say it? Where like both parties are going at the same time?
he said something like that.
Like both parties are going at the same time, and
That's
you're in
cool.
the same universe. That's going to be amazing.
Yeah.
Simultaneous area control.
Just don't pre-order it
That'll-
with anything else. Just pre-order it by itself. I'm not bitter.
If you go to a store and see a new game that you haven't seen before, how would you find out if it's actually a good game or not?
I'd text you.
Do you think our opinions of games are similar enough to where you would...
I mean, for the most part, I know the type of games that you like and stuff like that, and I know the type of games that I like. But like, if I don't text a friend who plays board games, then I would check out BGG, or I would check out the Dice Tower, see if they have any reviews. And then if I can't find out anything, I'm gonna go off of what I've liked in the past and see who made it.
Yeah.
But if the artwork's not there, if your artwork looks like Innis, I'm not even gonna touch you or text anybody because I'm just gonna be like, oh, you're flat.
It's kind of funny because Rob's not joking about like actually texting me because he's done that a couple times
Yeah.
before. He's
Hey,
like,
man, what do you think about
Roy,
this game?"
What do you think about this game? And a lot of times I'll be like, I haven't played it, but I saw this review and it's so-and-so's favorite game, and this person really likes it, and I mean, I think they would like line up with what you like, so...
You do like when you give responses like that, you do give like a very fair and impartial sort of thing. So like you give your opinion if you have one, and then other people's opinion. You're essentially like a metadata responder. So it's like you're like,
Because he
this is
also
everything that's
researched
ever
it
been
too,
listed on the internet. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're like, cool. That's literally all I needed. Like,
Yeah.
Well, I do
You are
have
board
like
game geek, just in our
multiple
human-
parts of this hobby. Like part of this hobby for me is like playing the board games, but then the other part is like consuming all of the board game media. Like
Yeah.
all of it. Like I listen to a lot of podcasts. I watch a lot of video reviews, especially like new games coming out. And like for me, if I go to a game store and I don't know what a game is or haven't even heard of the game, I almost immediately discredit the game because I just listen to so much of that stuff. That's like, if I haven't heard of it, it can't be good, But
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of times if I'm really interested in it, or it's like it's super sale is kind of like a warning anyway. But if it's like super on sale, I'll be like, let's see if this game's actually any good. Like I'll look up on Board Game Geek and see like reviews, maybe like even like watch part of a review on like line.
that's why I'm glad board games are even at their low end sort of cost prohibitive for me. Because it's like if I see a new beer, I'll be like, oh yeah, I'll pay $9 for a beer, whatever, that's fine. I want to try
It's
it.
crazy.
Yeah, no, it is crazy. It is crazy, but like it's under $10, so I don't care. But like a board game would be like, anything under 20, I might give a try. But honestly, even then, the majority of the stuff under 20 is like card games, and I'm like,
You're
nah,
like,
not doing
I
that.
could have 2 beers. for this
Exactly.
game.
Exactly.
I don't think I would ever just buy a board game without looking up something about
Bro,
it.
it's so much fun. Just try it one day.
I would never just go find a board game and just buy it.
That's how Rob freebases.
Like I don't
I
even
don't
care if
think
it looks
I've ever
pretty.
done that, though.
Like I
think
would
I've ever
literally
done that.
look it up. Like I would just because I mean I've done it before. I've been at Barnes and Noble and been like, what's the ratings on this on Board Game
And
Geek?
see, that's what I do. That's what I don't think I've ever just blind bought a game. Now, my wife has bought me a couple games where
And I
I
mean,
had no
it's
idea.
it's turned me away from games multiple times. I'd be like, oh, it's rated like a 4 with like
Yeah.
1,000 something ratings. Dear Lord, they hate this game. So, because I mean, anything below like a 7 or 8 is probably not good. Because there's gonna be someone that likes games. You know, if it's
Yeah.
a decent game, there's gonna be people that like it. You know, but if everyone's saying terrible things,
I've had that issue before. Like I'll see things on Kickstarter, and I'll go, I don't know anything about board games. I don't know anything about companies, but I like the way that looks. Boy, it's pretty. Like there was a game, I think it was just called Soul, or something similar to that.
yeah,
And it
I know
was
what
like
you're
a,
talking about.
yeah, and like I looked at it and I was like, this is really pretty. And then like I was watching like the gameplay and I was like, I don't know. Like
Yeah.
I feel like I could get into it, but I feel like I would have a hard time getting other people into it because you're essentially just orbiting the sun, trying to draw energy from it so that you can
Yeah.
launch your colony ship first. And like that's what everybody's doing. And so there's
The only
I was-
way I would get into that game is
I
if
remember
it
that
had
game.
cards that affected the apwapsy and parawapsy of your
Yeah,
That's what it was. Apswapsy and Parawapsy.
I see. I assume that you guys both know that it is apoapsis and periapsis,
No, I
but
can just never
But
say it
you
right.
can't
Like
plural
the
say
ongoing
apwapsy
thing, we
and
can just
Parawapsy.
I was gonna say because every time Rob says it, it's like super different. He's like, so
if
today
we
we've got the peanut butter sandwich and the apricot sandwich.
if we
And
ever
it's
get
like-
it correct, the
As soon
podcast
as-
itself is just going to implode, and then it's
Yeah.
just going to be done. So
or apoaps and periaps, depending on
You're
if you're
an
talking
apoaps.
singular or multiple. But
yeah. Anyway, space games are cool.
yeah, man,
Space games are
hard science.
Bro, freaking Lost in Space. Let's go, Colby. Let's go, Plaid Hat Games.
I'm
We already
getting,
have 3
like-
sales.
I'm
right
getting-
here.
More and more depressed that that's not going to be very hard science.
And what I mean by 3 sales is I'm gonna buy 2 and Matt's gonna buy 1, and I'll give Roy a copy.
Yeah,
Nice.
It's gonna be hard science though.
I mean,
think?
there'll
Not
be
like
something.
hard science, but like
I
his
wanna-
whole
I wanna
idea
play
of the
like an
game is
Isaac Asimov
going into
novel.
space too early.
You're
and they
like
gotta figure out
oxygen's
stuff.
important. Frickin' figuring out where to get antimatter to make the engines run is important.
Yeah.
Frickin'
I just feel like you're gonna run into like. I feel like they're gonna do that thing where they're like they're in space, so they encounter aliens and crazy
Yeah.
diseases and stuff like that, and it's like, given the time frame of what you said happened, where you guys launched early because you needed to, that's not happening. Like you guys don't have like the tech to do that. It's just going to be survival and then trying to plan out generationally how this ship is going to function with people breeding, so that you don't have inbreeding.
I'm pretty
like that-
sure it's still got the whole Raxon thing going on with
Yeah.
the zombie virus and junk like that.
I would just rather it, like, it's much more scary to me to be alone in a ship with a bunch of other, like, to be in, by that I mean like you and all of your crew are alone in a ship and there's nothing else, and then like an alien shows up and they're like, oh cool, alien, and I'm like, yeah, but it's open now, you're not alone, you're not isolated, and the isolation for me is what is probably the most tense part about it, you know.
What's that new movie with Chris Pratt?
Passengers. I was just about to bring that up with Jennifer Lawrence.
Yes.
And they're going on a 120-year journey, and
They
their
wake up
capsules
early or whatever.
Wake up at year, I think it's year 21. So they have 99 years left on their journey, and they're the only people that wake up. And some big stuff is
That sounds
coming.
awesome, actually.
Bro, the
Yeah.
trailer
That-
just dropped today.
That's exactly
Look
what you
it up.
want, Matt.
That sounds exactly what I want in Lost in Space. That would...
But it's basically like
it's
them
just-
alone with a whole bunch of people in cryosleep, but they're the only
Absolutely.
people who woke up.
And like you guys are scrambling to like fix everything as it's like just falling apart at the seams.
Oh, and
Or
it
trying
is
to
falling
figure out
apart
how to
at the
put
seams.
yourself
At
back
least
in
That's what the
cryosleep.
trailer shows. Like the trailer shows them get too close to sun and things start breaking and stuff like that. Like, check it out. It came out today.
I will do that for sure.
There's that other space movie I want to see.
Is it the one about linguistics?
The what?
The one about linguistics?
Yes.
Oh yeah,
Yes,
yeah, you're
Is
right.
that Amy
Right.
Adams?
Yeah, with Amy Adams
That's in it?
and
Trying
Bro.
to figure out how to talk
And
to the
it's got
aliens.
Jeremy
Forrest
Renner in it.
Whitaker. Yeah, and Jeremy Renner.
Bro. And she's like, they're talking. You can't do that. Don't bring the gun. Man, that looks so good.
I'm like, me and AJ were like, man, what can we do this weekend? And I was like, is that movie out? I'll go watch that movie right now.
Yeah.
No, it's
Looks
not
awesome.
out because
It's
when
like
it comes out, I'll go see it with you. I
Yeah,
want
yeah.
to see it.
So, do you have people that you trust if they say that a game is good?
Nah.
Matt's like, gotta dip my toe in to know the truth.
Yeah. Well, I mean, no, like I do trust you guys somewhat, but it's like I know that it is an opinion bias.
Oh, thank you.
No, I mean
Somewhat.
it's an opinion bias. So like if I ask Rob, I'm gonna be like, hey Rob, do you think Risk is a good game? Rob's gonna be like, yeah.
No,
I mean,
I would say
you will-
Risk is good.
right, but
but
you'll
for me, it's
preface it with,
nostalgia.
I don't think a lot of people will like it, but I thoroughly enjoy it. And that's the thing is like I trust you guys to do that, so you sort of cull your own bias in that regard. But from like my perspective, sometimes you'll just talk to people and be like, dude, that movie was the best thing ever. And like you're like, cool, and you go in and you watch it and you're like, man, that was whew,
Terrible.
I don't know how to talk to this person again. Like,
Why didn't Vision just blow up the plane? Like, so dumb.
for real though?
I just watched that the other day, and that scene came up, and I was like, I mean, technically, you turn your head 2 more inches to the left, you hit the plane.
Movie ends. That's
It's like this. Instead of doing this, you do this. Yeah,
Oh man,
That's
good
awesome.
stuff.
quality.
But yeah, for me, like I watch a whole lot of reviewers, and I know which reviewers are like more similar to like my style of game. Like I match up a decent amount with like Sam likes a lot of like the same like Ameritrashy style, like epic style games. And I mean, I can tell like some of the games that Tom from the Dice Tower likes. But like he likes a lot of like Euro-y type stuff too. So the good thing I like about a lot of the reviewers is that they show the game and show the components and then show like an overview of the play. So if like I really want to know about the game, I can kind of like see. But I also know like there's specific reviewers that like are completely like opposite to like my style of game. Like one of the really big reviewers and people like love him is Rado, but he's very much into like Euro style games. So like literally if he says that the game is the best ever, like I know to stay away from it. And if he's talking about how the game is too narrative and too random and he hates the game, then I know that I'm probably going to love it. So it's very funny to like watch a reviewer that has like exactly like opposite opinions of yours to be like, "Oh, he loves that game. I should stay far away from it." So it's kind of interesting cuz people have completely differing opinions. But
I was gonna say, if
it's-
ever I
it's-
look at a review, go ahead. Sorry.
I've never found a person that's like, we love the exact same games. I mean, people are different. Like, people have different styles and different things they like about games and dislike about games. So, there's never going to be anyone who loves the exact same game as you know? Like, the entire slate.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I look at reviews very differently. Like I don't care who wrote the review or what the review is about. Like I read through the review and I look for not their opinions on things, but I look for them to describe things in detail, like mechanics or this and that. Like their opinion is completely invalid to me. Like I'll look at like the facts of what it is, and if I like it, I'll just buy it based on that.
It's kind of interesting because like these guys I've been like watching and paying attention to for years. So like I have this huge back catalog of knowledge of games they like, games they dislike, the sort of things they're into,
Yeah.
sort of things they're not into. And so it's like I can judge like what my opinions would be on that same subject with what their opinions would be, so I can kind of like compare and contrast and see if it's something that would fit for me. So I actually really like listening to the opinions of people on games. Like I don't want to just be like raw mechanics and like this is the theme, this is the components, this is the mechanics. Like normally I just fast forward straight to be like, what'd they say about it? What did they think?
Yeah. That's not how I do things. That's pretty much how I'll leave it.
Yeah, I mean it's interesting. I like to.
I hate when reviewers are like 4 out of 5, and I'm like, Or what you could do is just write a small paper about it, and people might read it, and then from there be able to form their own opinions without looking at just an antiquated numbering system. But that's fine.
Yeah, I also really like to hear about the stories. I don't think reviewers even do that this much, but I like to hear about like listening to podcasts. You hear more about like what happens when people play the games. That's why like this podcast is very much about the stories and things that happen like while we play the game. I try to talk about.
But we are the best podcast of all time, though.
I try to talk about things we do during the game and like how it felt for us like actually playing the game, as opposed to just like this and this and this and this and this is why it's good, this is why it's bad. But no, this thing that Matt did, oh my gosh. Like, I don't know. It just that makes me more into a game. Like, I love banter talking about having played the game itself. Like, oh my gosh, what's his face backstabbed me in like the last second of the game and it was so tense. It's fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, last one here. Name one good game that you think doesn't get enough love and people should play more.
It gets love, but not enough. I was thinking about this. I'd say Zombicide. I actually, and I'm not talking about the new Black Plague version. I really like Zombicide, and it does well. It's had very successful Kickstarters and stuff like that for Cool Mini or Not. But I really enjoy the game, and it's more of a modern game. Because I would also like to say like Axis and Allies and stuff, but I just don't think the chances of that happening.
What if Rob just went real hard and said Monopoly? No, I'm just kidding.
No. Well, I'm not in love
That's
with
called
Monopoly.
a callback in the business, ladies and gentlemen.
But no, Zombicide, I think, fits that well. It's a fun game. It offers a lot. If you like zombies and all that kind of stuff, it scratches that itch for you. I just think it's a game that is not appreciated enough.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my answer.
Do you have any that you can think of, Matt? Where do you want me to go?
You go. I'm still working it out.
So mine, there's a lot of people that really like this game, but I think there's a lot of people that probably haven't tried it or like might not even know about it. But it's a pretty popular game though. But Galaxy Trucker, like I love like how people like diss on it or hate on it a little bit just because how random it is, and they say that it doesn't matter at all what you do. But I just love the shipbuilding process in that game. Like, building the ships in real time and trying to build it the best you can is a whole lot of fun. And I feel like more people should check out that game because the rule book is really well done and very silly and talks about all the different ship components and how to play and do all the different stuff. And it's fun to build a junky spaceship and try to make it to the other side of the galaxy even though you're probably going to blow up along the way. So, Galaxy Trucker is a lot of fun.
Well, and I don't know because I feel like a lot of the games I like are like people also like whether or not
Matt's like I only like top tier games.
I mean,
well, Matt's also still really new though in the hobby.
Yeah, like games that I don't feel like get the recognition and respect that they deserve. I feel like
don't deserve it.
I have like two, and it's mostly because I don't see them come up that often in any sort of like media sense, like anytime I see board game stuff, but it would just be like Spectre Ops and Xia.
I thought about that.
Because they're both really, really good games. And they kind of, they both scratch different itches because they're completely different, but like, I feel like both of those games are very well done. They are mechanically solid. They have a good theme. They have a lot of this story and stuff that drives us to do a lot of this stuff. They have great components. They have all of this stuff that we just listed that makes it a good game, but you just don't hear a whole lot of people talking about it, you know? Like, I don't see or hear that many people going, hey, man, play a game of Xia. It was great. Same thing with Spectre Ops. It's just...
it was really hot and heavy with a lot of people talking about it when the Kickstarter was going.
Yeah.
But I think people should play it now.
Right. And I feel like Xia is one of those games that you can tool down how long you want to play. So, like, you could just say, hey, let's play to 5 victory points, start off with tier 3 ships, and just go.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it everything in that
literally a
game
sandbox.
it's very modular, so everything plugs in and out. And then Spectre Ops is like, hey, sit down in for an hour and play hide and seek with your neighbor, like pretty much. And it's just very, very good.
It's
and
really
you don't even
funny
have to.
'cause everybody online, I mean, a bunch of people are talking about Fury of Dracula right now with the whole Games Workshop thing, and people occasionally talk about like Letters from Whitechapel and different things like that. But is it bad that I keep like telling people, hey man, you misspelled
Right.
Spectre Ops?
Right.
Because people keep saying, oh my gosh, I need to get Fury of Dracula before it sells out. And I'm like, dude, man, you misspelled Spectre Ops. Fix that
It's
for
cheaper
you.
and it's available now.
Yeah. And I think there was Barnes & Noble was having a sale where it was like 50% off. You could get it online, or like you could get it at their stores for like $22. What?
That's ridiculous.
Like, I just want to go and find a Barnes & Noble with full of those and just buy them all out because that game is that good. I'd be like, you get a Spectre Ops and you get a Spectre Ops.
And you get a Spectre Ops.
Like, I mean, I mean,
It's like
family
I'm-
members need that game. Like, there's those games that you have that you're like, my family members need this game. So I'm like,
I am
man,
like,
I need to
I'm
get
so
that.
glad that I played Letters from Whitechapel before Spectre Ops, because if I would have played it the other way around, I'd be like, man, Letters from Whitechapel is garbage. Like, it's not a bad game, but comparatively,
It's garbage.
Spectre Ops is a much better hidden movement game, and it is probably the best hidden movement game.
It's kind of funny because I had
can't
Letters from
really think of
Whitechapel for a while, and I played it a few times, and I mean, it's
solid. I mean, it's all right.
solid. I mean, it's fine. It's not super thematic, which I don't really think I want it to be super thematic. It's about
Yeah.
killing prostitutes, but but anyway,
Dripping with actual blood.
exactly. But I was like, I saw Spectre Ops. I thought it was like interesting and stuff. I was like, oh man, that looks really cool. But I have this game that's like very similar. So like,
Yeah.
do I need to go get that game? And I'm pretty sure we played like Rob's copy, and like I had it within like a couple weeks after that. I was
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
I need to have it. I need to own it. So yeah. I still can't get someone to take my Letters from Whitechapel from me. So I don't know what's up with that.
I'm trying to sell Forbidden Stars if anybody wants it.
You heard it here
Nice.
first, podcast people. Email Rob at robertnewman.ymail.com.
Okie doke, guys. You got anything else to add to the podcast for tonight?
I'm hungry.
Bro, clam chowder.
I'm probably just gonna make a quesadilla.
Ooh,
Quesadillas
what are you
good.
gonna put in it?
Cheese.
But what else though?
That's all you need.
No, I mean,
Do you know who you're talking to?
yeah, but like, do you not like maybe a
I'll
little
put
bit
some
of
black
bacon
pepper,
in there,
maybe salt. I do bacon occasionally.
right? And maybe a little bit of chicken.
Have you had
Bro.
those
Nah,
cookout
but-
quesadillas, man? Matt?
I have not, because I'm not a big beef or chicken person. I probably would like it if I tried it, but I'm just I don't
not
want
a
to
big
spend money
chicken.
on something.
So so AJ didn't know about it, but I like told AJ, dude, get the quesadilla. He got a quesadilla. Now when he goes, he's like, I'll get a quesadilla tray, which means that they give you 2 quesadillas and you get 2 sides, and you can do quesadillas for the sides. So he'll be like, I'll get a quesadilla tray with a quesadilla and a quesadilla for the 2 sides. And he says he keeps thinking about it, but he's never done it. He'd just be like, and can you throw a quesadilla and a milkshake too? But he's never done that.
Meanwhile,
Man, would he do
meanwhile,
a food
that's
challenge?
$5.
Yeah, and
It's
exactly.
only
It's like
$5?
super
Yeah, it's
cheap.
cookout. It's a tray. Like
Yeah,
so
yeah.
today we went to cookout. He got a side of fries, a quesadilla, and a burger for $5.
Yep.
I
Cookout,
need to go to
ridiculous.
cookout. I've only been one time and I got a milkshake.
No, it's solid.
Milkshakes are good.
Just get the trays, like the trays,
Yeah.
whatever. Burger.
Their burgers
I
are a
went
little hit
because
or
my
miss
milkshake
depending where you go.
brings
Their
all the boys
burgers
to the
taste like burgers that you make at your house if you're just making just a regular burger. To me, that's what it kind of like.
like you're having a cookout.
Yeah, literally.
Hey.
There you go.
Hey!
Awesome, guys. Well, this has been a podcast.
I had Biscuitville for the first time like a week ago.
Bro.
Not impressed. Not impressed.
I will fight you.
Let's fight. I was not impressed.
What are you impressed
Monopoly is better than Biscuitville.
What?
with? Light your new house on fire.
Oh no!
Not really, but you know.
I wasn't that impressed. And the biscuit was dry, and I'm like, man, the McDonald's biscuits are better than this. I don't know if it was just a location, but the biscuit was dry, and the food wasn't very
You
good.
mean, okay, hang on. So what you mean to say is that the biscuit wasn't drowned in butter?
No, what I meant to say is I had to take a sip in between each bite because I felt like it hurt me.
You ever eaten at Popeyes?
Yeah.
That's a dry biscuit. I don't know.
No, I'd rather have a Popeyes biscuit. You know, who has decent biscuits? KFC. They're not bad. I said decent. I said decent, Matt. Hey, better than Biscuitville. Hey, Biscuitville, where we like to have false advertising. And the only reason I went to Biscuitville is because they were talking about those pork chop things, and I was like, bro, pork chop, that sounds pretty good. And at the end of I felt dirty when I left. I was like, this is bad.
Awesome, guys. Well, this has been the Epic Gaming Night podcast. We stream these. We stream these podcasts Tuesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Make sure to check us out at youtube.com/C/Epic Gaming Night. Make sure to check out our t-shirts at analoggamer.com/Epic Gaming Night. And make sure to hit us up on Twitter and Instagram at Epic Gaming Night. I'm currently doing like a little contest on there where I'm giving away some of our Epic Gaming Night dice. All you have to do is go on there and post there's a picture of me holding the dice, and just post why you like to play board games on there, and we'll pick somebody like in a week or something.
I need to talk to you about that picture and your whole like subcontext. You're like, guys, I need my last pair of dice.
It is my last pair. Anyway.
Do you need more?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Anyway.
I got like 30.
Come on, guys. I gave all mine away.
I know. I didn't see anybody.
Anyway,
But
guys.
you, in essence,
Perks of being unpopular. Yeah.
No. Because I had people that came up to me and were like, where's Matt? I'm like, I don't know.
But guys, we will check you guys out next time. Thanks so much for checking out the podcast.
Where's that Gray Fox game?
Absolutely.
Matt's somewhere.
Biscuit.
I should have been like Matt's playing Junk Art.
Probably.
Pretty much.
That's such a good game.
Either that or just buying artwork at the artist corner.
You did get a really good collection.
Peace.
Stuff you got.
Oh my goodness.
So that's what it feels like to get the show notes 10 seconds before the show.
Yeah,
that's
fine.
I wasn't
Right.
comfortable for like the first half of the show. But
Matt's like, I do this every day.
I was like, it's one of those. Well, since I do the put in like actually
You just copy paste and
making
then
the show
enter
notes,
things in.
I look at it a little bit before. I don't think about the questions at all, so I'm still very in the moment.
Matt's like,
you
let
sent
me
me that
format
email at
this
10
and put
o'clock.
bullet points in and make it look all great. I'm like, man, Matt's so good at this.
when you sent me that email at 9 o'clock, then at 9:21 that other email came in, but it said it was sent at like 3 something.
What?
Yeah, it just popped in, but I don't know if some stuff's going on. I don't know.
It's okay. You're moving. You got stuff to worry about.
Yeah, I'm not gonna be able to make game
E-
night.
Emails. Not
I'm sure.
That's fine.
You want to come help me move Saturday?
I do.
I mean, you are more than welcome.
I need to
So-
confirm it with my wife. But yeah. Are you guys just going to be taking the U-Haul back and forth and back and forth?
Well, Friday night I'm gonna be taking a ton of boxes in my car, and then
How are you going to
Saturday-
pack up your board games? Like, do you have like a specific plan, or are you just going to...
Yes, I have one container, and I'm gonna just do in waves and unpack them there, and then like
Gotcha.
just put them on the floor or something.
Gently caress them as you put them in the box and take them?
No, by the time I get to my board games, I'm like, shut up.
Dude, that's awesome, Matt. I don't know
I just
why.
like that I can do this, and it just looks like I'm flexing. I'm just like, yeah, son,
Yeah.
check it.
Number one board game on Board Game Geek times 2.
Pretty hard to hold.
But if you do want to come, just text me. I'll send you the address.
Cool.
Because we're gonna meet here, and I just really need help moving big furniture. Because I'm gonna have all the small stuff pretty much done. Like I'm gonna be.
Do you have
moving
like a bunch
one or
of
two
crazy awkward stuff, like those couches that just really don't want to fit out a door? Those are always the best or the worst.
I've got a sectional, but it breaks up into like 2 normal couches.
Oh, that's fun.
So yeah, nothing bad.
It's not
but
a
we do
sofa
have-
bed, is it? Because those are...
No, but I have
Those should be
a
set on fire most of the time.
heavy dresser, like
Gotcha.
solid wood. Like when we bought this bedroom suite, it was like $4,000. It's very solid, very heavy, and so like it's things like that I need help with. Like a lot of little stuff and chairs and stuff, I'm just gonna throw on my back and carry in. But like this dresser's several hundred pounds.
That's crazy. So we're going to be doing that mostly all day Saturday?
Well, no, not all day. It's like a couple of hours. It's
Oh,
like
okay,
a
cool.
couple trips in the U-Haul. That's it.
Cool.
Like I
cool.
said, because I'm doing all the boxes and everything like that Friday.
Yeah. It's a way to do it. Odo, guys, thanks to anybody who's still hanging out on the YouTubes
Was
there.
anybody listening?
I
There
feel
were,
bad.
there were definitely a few guys. Gary Hood was saying they just got off work and he loves components, art, and theme. And he said second that, but I'm not exactly sure when he said second that. It's probably something I said.
Good game.
No. There is a guy that said, I think people play Monopoly for the same reason they buy vanilla cars. They don't know that what else is out there.
I thought he was going to say for the same reason people eat vanilla ice cream, and I was like, I'll fight him too.
I thought okay.
I know.
Bro, a banana milkshake right now, you get vanilla ice cream, a little bit of milk, a little bit of ice, and you chop up a couple bananas and a little bit of vanilla extract. Put that in there. That sounds pretty good.